Hello, loyal fans. This is going to be a 2,500 point battle report between the Amazons, take two, against the Tomb Kings, which is slightly different, I guess, on the normal list I would use just because I would love taking the giant Necropolis Knights. I dropped 4 of the Tomb Guard Halberds, so it's just a unit of 26, which is still deadly, but it adds for more punch elsewhere, especially with the Screaming Skull catapults. 2 mages, 1 level 4, and has a Dispel Scroll. The other is level 1 of light, and has the canopy, the one that like can stop remains in place spells really well. I don't normally take it, but looking at it now, it looks like a great item. The general with great weapon, Tomb King, has the Golden Death Mask and Glittering Scales, and I think the Dragonbane gem, the one that, 2 up ward against fire, kind of necessary for him. Battle Standard has the Dragonbane helm and a great weapon, and I forget what else. Necrotect, just normal. Unit of 20 archers with standard musician, unit of 14 archers with musician, 2 units of chariots with, I think, musician and maybe standard? I should double check the standard. I think I gave them standards. Fury, Roar, Doom Kitty, Hero Titan. I still need to get the little scales. I have a 3D file now that I can make scales for him to hold, but haven't yet done it. 2 normal catapults and the Casket of Souls. And they are going up against Amazons take 2. 3 units of Blow Dart, Scout, Musician, Poison Attack, shoot on missile range anyways, whatever they're called, Jaguar Warriors, something like that. These are the stand-ins for the things I still need to 3D print. 2 units of 6 Jaguar Huntresses with spears and shield, and then a unit of 5 with short bows. 3 Pterodons. I'm like in the process of painting them, so I might as well add them. This is the avatar of Rig. It's not an upgrade, it just looks different than the last game. This is, I think, 30 of the special choice warriors. So they have claws, shield, I think they come with shield, or claw on the amulet. They're very good. Oh, and they have the Jaguar standard. There's a unit of 9 Cold One Riders, a bit less than the last game, and I think I gave them the gleaming pennant again. Hopefully it'll be more useful than last time, because last time it saved like the leadership test for stupidity, but then when they actually needed it, they didn't have it anymore because it's one use only. Matriarch on Cold One. What did I give her? The Claw, Amulet of the Moon, Shield, Dragonbane Helm. Level 4 with Talisman of Preservation, or the Protection, the 45.1. Dispel Scroll, Amulet of the Moon. And I give the level 4 claws, the old ones as well, because she actually has 2 strength 4 attacks, so she could be good in combat. Goes to strength 5 armor piercing. And Battle Standard with Crystalline Armor, a claw, and a shield. So the Crystalline Armor on the Battle Standard, which will be in the main unit, means that any spell casted on them can generate an additional power dice. I think we're Dispel dice. It's useful anyways. So, a little bigger army. I really think the Panther Riders, Fast Cavalry are a necessary upgrade, and the Pterodon Riders I just added anyways. We'll see how they do. And yeah, I love Tomb Kings. This has been deployment, spells, and turn 1 for Amazons. Tomb Kings picked this side of the board. Amazons had to go there. They had to deploy first. Went a couple of the Panthers on the sides. War Machines went here. And I think the Archers on both sides. Specifically to, and the Chariots were down here, just specifically so that that's 12 inches and the Scouts can't possibly deploy behind the enemy lines. That's why they were there. And then, yeah, the main thing for the Amazons were the main unit with claws in the middle, the general and the Cold One Riders just to the side, that 12-inch bubble between them, the Avatar. And then the Pterodon Riders were actually there, and then they moved over in the first turn. So there's a strategy there anyways. And in terms of turn 1, basically nothing happened besides what you see. They shot with 5 bows, did nothing against them, and magic started with 2 dice rolling the spell 0 on a 5-up, and they were double 1s. The 1 in 36 chance of ending the magic phase right there. Oh, and the spells that they have. In terms of numbers, the Amazon level 4 have 0, 2, 3, and 5. The Light Mage, who is with the bigger unit that's about to go into that building, has spell number 1 from Light Magic, which is the -1 to hit around them. And the level 4 in the big unit of Tomb Guard, along with all the other characters, has spells 0, 2, 3, and 4. So they're mostly the protective ones and the one that forces the enemy to take difficult terrain tests. And yeah, Doom Kings are set up like so. It's a little weird because they're protecting against scouts, but other than that, which forced the scouts to be in the trees, and they moved up slightly. And those ones were there, and they moved around so that the chariots wouldn't have line of sight of them. And then this unit is just there so that if someone does charge them, at least that unit will be stuck in a forest and have no rank bonus. And now Tomb Kings turn 1. Tomb Kings moved up. 2 big units tried to charge the Panther Cavalry there, who decided to flee. They redirected into the Saurus Cavalry, Knights, Cold One Knights, Saurus, Cold One Riders, and both failed. It was a long ways away. Those archers stood in place, shot the Panther unit there to pieces. This catapult attacked the Cold Ones, killed one of them, but they passed their panic test. Casket didn't cast anything, and only gave 1 power dice, but that's okay. That one failed, went 10 inches from there over there, hit one of them, didn't wound. The archers entering a building, apparently they can still shoot. I can't find a rule against that. So they shot the Pterodons, actually killed, caused 4 wounds, and those Pterodon riders only have 2 wounds each, so only 1 left. Passed its panic test. And these guys charged, stand shooting from the scout warriors there caused 2 wounds, so one of them only has 1 wound left. But they wiped them out and then reformed because their overrun was just out of arc from that. So they couldn't hit anything, and they're just gonna have to be charged. So this is the end of the Amazon's turn 2. Quite a lot happened, as you can see. The Avatar gave rerolled charge distances to everything within 12, which meant them. They decided to charge the War Kitty, kind of forgetting about the Fury Breath. They would have won the combat, except for the Fury Breath killed an extra 2, which meant that they lost 4, didn't do any damage, didn't win the combat. Although even if they had won by only 1 or 2, that might not have been good enough. These guys needed, I think it was 13 inches, so they needed 9, but re-rolling the charge, that was easy. They got in, however the scouts there were kind of blocking their way, at least to get many models in combat. So the scouts decided to declare a charge at the chariots who were back there. Scouts did, and they lost, but it was only by 2, and they would have passed because of the general and battle standard, except the Tomb King has the terrifying death mask, so he causes terror, but more importantly, any enemy unit within 6 inches of him cannot use the general's leadership or the battle standard rule, hold your ground. So they failed. I think they rolled a 7, which would have been fine, but didn't quite work. So then they fled, chariots pursued because they wouldn't have been able to flank charge from their current position, and now they're facing them down. These Panther Riders did charge the chariots, did a good amount of damage, and won combat by 1? Actually, must have been more than that. But I think that chariot is there on 1 wound left. And, oh right, and the last Pterodon rider. I also just found a discrepancy in the book. In the one of the first time the Pterodon riders are mentioned in this Amazon book, it says the Pterodons have 3 wounds. But in the points list entries and then in the appendix at the back of the book, lists them as only having 2 wounds. So I'm playing it as if they have 2 wounds, which means that only one is still left. They moved around the building. Those guys moved up and shot, but they needed like 8s to hit or something. And, oh yeah, these guys were the ones over here, but they rallied and moved up. Okay, Tomb King's turn 2. One quick minor addition I kind of forgot. This combat, they charged in, they killed like, what was it? Immediately targeted the Necrotech and killed him so that the Tomb Guard couldn't have hatred, which is a huge difference. Otherwise, these Tomb Guard are a powerhouse with the character. They still had weapon skill 6 though, so the Amazons were only hitting on 4s. However, they have the Jaguar standard, which lets them have Frenzy. So they had a ton of attacks. Yeah, they killed the character and then 13 others, but they lost 12. They barely won combat by 2, which goes down to just 1 extra model lost because of the battle standards in the unit. So now it's looking like the Tomb Kings, if they get a good magic phase, can resurrect quite a few. And the end of Tomb King's turn 2, a huge bloodbath. Tomb Kings resurrected from magic, I think 7 extra Tomb Guard, so they went back up to 21. They also, I forgot to mention, the Amazons were on the Serpent spell that was +1 strength for the entire unit. Definitely helped, and they're frenzied. But the Tomb Guard got 2 spells off, one which was the 5-up ward, and the other was +1 attack for the entire unit. Kind of big. These chariots charged the Panthers. They were so close anyways, and managed to pursue them right at that point. Those Panthers finally did the last wound off of that chariot, so just reformed. That guy's still alive. He wasn't really targeted. Shooting was aimed for him, and the Avatar only has 1 wound left. And those guys are fine, because yeah, that shooting went there, and then both Screaming Skull catapults were very inaccurate. Right, and then these guys flank charged. They caused 1 wound off the Matriarch, who made way to attack them, and she killed 2, and the Cold One killed 2, so it was kind of a -1 for having them in combat. Something like that. The regular Cold One Riders, though, managed to take 3 wounds, just 3 lucky 6s to wound off of out of 4 hits off of the War Sphinx. So from that little bit of luck, the Amazons won combat by 1, and they're still in it. Also, this combat they won by 1, and they're still in it. This is a close game. And that's it. Amazon turn 3. Further epic challenges continue. Both units were left to the characters and the unit champion, and that's it. The Tomb King still have the 2 spells there, but they're done since it's after the combat. The Amazons got +1 strength and a 12-inch bubble around everyone, so that gave them +1 strength as well. However, in this combat, the Matriarch got killing blowed by one of the Tomb Guard riders from the War Kitty. Also, before that, she had better initiative. She killed 5 of them. They didn't do any wounds. There's only the champion left, which looks like the musician, but never mind that part. 1 combat by 2, so Kitty's down to 1 wound. This thing is still down to 1 wound as well. And it's out of combat now, just because there was no other way of doing that. They took pot shots against the Hero Titan, knocked 3 wounds off of it, I think. 2 wounds off of it, just down to 3 wounds left. The Pterodon charged the Screaming Skull catapult, did no damage, and got wounded 3 times. So that's that. And the Panther Riders there charged the tower, killed 5, lost 1, so 1 combat by 4, so 4 more died. So most of the units, well, I shouldn't say most, almost half the units knocked out. end of the Tomb King's turn 3, I think. That cavalry was finally killed outright. It tried to do the last wound, failed. Hero Titan came and charged the flank of the Avatar, just because it barely had an angle on that and not on anything else. It died. The Avatar had like 6 attacks. It was strength 5, no, strength 6 with the bonus. So yeah, just took all 3 wounds off. It was lucky, but it still happened. Spells put -2 movement on them, and they have to treat everything as difficult terrain. This combat, they resurrected 2 models from the spell 0 that only gives them extra movement, because they lost the 2 middle spells that they had. It was either that or that one, the spell that they just did there. And then the other dice were used by that to try and target them. I think it was them, and it failed. Shooting here and there went against the Panther unit there. 2 of them died, failed their panic, fled 12 off the board. Amazon's turn 4, I believe. The Avatar charged the War Sphinx. They were both at 1 wound left. Avatar could not get a 6 to wound. It came close with like 5 hits, but nope. War Sphinx killed it, reformed. The Hierophant died, and the unit lost combat by 3, so I had to lose 2 extra wounds. So the Tomb King has 1 wound left, and the Battle Standard lost 1 wound to these guys flank charging. Mage didn't lose a wound. Battle Standard lost a wound, but not to combat, it was to magic. They cast the everyone within 12 inches get a +1 strength. That was fine. Wasn't dispelled. And wasn't Irresistible Force. But then with 2 dice left, Irresistible Force, the Shield of Thorns, which did nothing. 2 strength 4 hits that. But because the Hierophant died, everything had to take a leadership test, and these guys were fine because of the higher leadership. But the Screaming Skull 1 and 2 died. The Casket and the other unit are still fine, and the Chariots are there. So, turn 4, Tomb Kings. And this is the end with the Tomb Kings, I think, turn 4. The charge from the Chariots, they lost 1 to instability, 1 wound, but didn't take anything from difficult terrain. Their impact hits caused like 6 casualties out of the unit of 7 right there. War Sphinx charged, which wound up getting the Battle Standard, who only had 1 wound left. So it was a heroic fight for the Battle Standard against the 1 wound War Sphinx, but again, War Sphinx couldn't be wounded. So Kitty took the Matriarch, or not the Matriarch, sorry, the hero down. The Mage survived with her 4-up ward, and actually managed to kill the Tomb King, who only had 1 wound left. Battle Standard was left still on 1 wound, and killed the final Amazon over there. So it was like a combat win of like 11 points to the Tomb Kings. The Mage couldn't pass the double ones leadership, fled, got overrun by the Battle Standard. And that's how the battle ends. So yeah, it was devastating. It definitely devolved into a single combat again. My thoughts about the Amazons this time, that spell does +1 strength for everyone within 12 inches when it's upgraded and it's like cast on a 10 or a 12. That is one of their best options. The Flames of the Phoenix kind of spell is amazing too, but I didn't get it this game. And when the main like 2 big units are buffed with a +1 strength spell and Frenzy, well, the Totem Guard had Frenzy from the standard, but on top of that, when the Avatar gives them Frenzy as well, which is technically Hatred too, but they didn't get to use it because it was after the 2nd round. Like, these are 2 powerhouse units. The problem is the cavalry can die so quickly, so as strong as they are, they still need to be protected. They don't have heavy armor, so I think it's a 3-up save. They look really tough, but also that stupidity. I don't really know what to do about that. But the main, like, Totem Guard, or Temple Guard, whatever, they are awesome. So yeah, the army kind of has to revolve around that, which means terms of my list building, I have to 3D print these Jaguars, which means this 3D printer right here has to be working a whole lot more efficiently. I just had 2 failures today. Maybe it was 3? I don't know. I tried 2 or 3 times back to back and I just couldn't get it to work. It might be the tension on the FEP. I don't know. I think it's fine. It looks leveled and I can't move the paper underneath it when I level the printer bed. It could have also just been the file. Maybe there was something wrong with the file. But I think it was just the fact that it was printing, but then nothing was sticking to the plate, which I think usually means it's the FEP for me. I couldn't hear anything sticking, or when the build plate maybe you don't know if you're not 3D printing. When the build plate rises, there's usually supposed to be some suction you hear as it's tearing what it just printed off of the FEP, and I wasn't hearing that at all this time. So tried 3 different times and nothing worked. But when I do, then it'll be a full Amazon army, and finishing painting them will be so much more rewarding. Until then, yeah, it's always nice to play a game with the Tomb Kings. They are powerful. That War Kitty is awesome in the right situation. Poison attacks could have taken it down, and unfortunately, there wasn't really a good option. Like, the Amazons have so much poison attacks with the blow darts, but they really need to be up close. So maybe the way I should run those core blow dart units is really more like Ungor's, just as a screen in front of my army. It seems counterintuitive, but if I have good enough leadership through the rest of the army, maybe panic won't be an issue. And it wouldn't matter about the cold one unit because they're immune to psychology anyways because of stupidity, if they're further away from the general's bubble. As long as, well, the battle standard. The general's probably going to be with them. I think that's how I want to run them. Yeah. Other thoughts? Well, just have to play another game, I guess. I'm finished painting this terrain. It's mostly done. Anyway, happy wargaming. See you soon.